Welcome to the Breadwinner Energy Podcast. I'm your host, Tay Daniels. I'm a certified life and business coach on a mission to help women become rich, powerful, and sustainable. I help women just like you build a life you not only love, but deserve. We believe that every woman deserves to be the breadwinner of her own life, to be rich in life, in love, and happiness, to be confident and powerful while building a sustainable business that creates a lifetime of success. On this podcast, I'm giving you my no BS advice to life, business, and motherhood. So grab your headphones or cover your child's ears and let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of the Breadwinner Energy Podcast. Hello. I am back with a baby strapped to my chest currently. So if you hear any baby noises, that is why, because I had my baby and I have a clingy baby. I'm not going to lie. She is literally strapped to me at all times. And so I'm figuring out how to create this new life with new life and how to work and do all the things with a baby strapped to me, which has been challenging at times, but we're getting through. Oh, we have gone through so much over the last, 6 weeks? I think she's almost 6 weeks. So over the last 6 weeks, there's been a lot of things happen, a lot of changes that I want to update you guys on and then share my birth story because first and foremost, there's been a lot of you on social media who voted that you guys wanted to hear my birth story. I know for some people, they're like, it's weird for them, it's a no for them. But for me, telling your birth story, I think sometimes sets you free. But also when I was pregnant, I read tons of birth stories, like every single day, read tons of them. It was inspiring. It was helpful. So if someone out there is listening and they needed to hear this, then that's great. But before we get into that, I want to share all the other updates that have happened. So we had our Breadwinner Energy Academy launch. The doors are currently closed and they'll be closed until fall. And with that is a lot of changes behind the scenes for this program. And there's a lot of reasons being, but one of the main reasons is because over these last 6 weeks, I feel like I've had a lot of downloads that have come full circle. I've had a lot of conversations with people in and outside of the program, as well as just how can I help and support more women? What does this look like? How can I create this change in the world, but really in this online space of women? Because being a breadwinner, I think, comes with this stigma that women have to work more or that women have to sacrifice. And I know personally, I grew up with a single mom who is extremely independent and hardworking, but that also comes with this trauma of not being able to rely on other people or to be super hyper independent where you can't ask for help or you can't take the help that's given, or it just creates this like constant hustle working where you don't feel safe to take a break. You don't feel safe to take time and space from your business so that you can rest and relax and recoup. And so with that being said, it's like, how can I help more women become successful, become breadwinners without the sacrifice, right? With being able to work less and make more money and feel safely about it, make, your body feels safe to be able to do that. Because when I first started coaching, I was working 40 to 60 hour weeks, and now I'm working 2 days a week. And the reason being is because that's what I want. It's the life I've chose. But I also have 2 children and I'm homeschooling my daughter and I want to be at home with my children and I don't want to send my children to school. And so it's, how do I make this business create the life that I want to live? And I want more women to have that, to have those choices and those opportunities, because it is really, really important for us to be able to heal those traumas and that all those stigmas that come with women working and with women being successful and being breadwinners and being moms. And so I want to help more women become successful while being a mom without sacrificing your life, without sacrificing your mental health and your well-being. And I recently shared on Instagram that I am currently on a journey of healing anxiety within myself and generational trauma without being medicated. And so I'm seeing different modalities, right, to be able to heal my nervous system. And one of those being going to a chiropractor. I was really skeptical early in my life about going to a chiropractor, right? Because you hear all these crazy stories, but long story short, my cousin owns a chiropractic office across the street, and we're going to talk about how that affected my birth story. And so since then, my husband and I have gone in and they've done testing on our spines and stress levels and our fight or flight and our nervous system. And I've been trying to heal chronic pain for 3 years, and turns out the exact place where I'm having chronic pain is exactly where I'm having issues, inside my body, and how this chiropractic care is going to help that. So doing that a few times a week and just doing different things, right? Like exercise, sunlight, natural healing remedies to be able to heal myself and my anxiety. So I want to be able to help more women get to this space of healing, of making more money, working less, healing your nervous system, being able to be a breadwinner where it feels good, it feels peaceful, it feels safe, it's not triggering. So in the meantime, between now and when the doors will reopen to Academy, we've got a lot going on behind the scenes. Outside of that, we also launched a new program, which is our Coach Energy School, and it's all about building your coaching program. This is the offer program. We're talking all about offers, building your offers, getting results, becoming a coach, your mindset, your pricing, your framework, marketing and sales, and how to actually build a coaching business, whether you're a service provider and you're looking to step into the coaching world, because that's how I got started, was as a service provider. We've helped lots of service providers, even in our Academy program, become coaches, become successful. Or if you're already a coach and you want to make more money, or you want a more aligned offer, or you want to be able to market and sell without social media or without ads, this is the program for you. It's a 6-month group coaching program, and the portal will open on June 15th, and then we will start our first calls in July. So right now is early enrollment. If you enroll early before June 15th, you're going to get 12 months access for the price of 6, and then a live kickoff call with me. So in this coaching program, you have access to the Slack channel, which is coaching every single day. You can come and get coached and ask all your questions. You also have a portal where you're going to learn all the things, mindset, building your offer, and then come get coached on that, as well as you get to submit audits. So you get to have your marketing and your sales strategy audited. You get to have your offer and your framework and your pricing audited every single week. And then weekly coaching calls where you can come and ask any of your questions or watch other students get coached on becoming a coach, being successful, building your coaching business. Because I, over the last few years in Academy, have been known to create really, really good offers and help people create really good offers. And building offers is literally my jam. It's my specialty. It's what I love. It's what I'm good at. It's easy for me. It comes natural. And I've helped so many women build their business from just honing in on their offer, their niche, becoming that go-to industry leader by niching down. And we did that also when I was with my agency. And so that is exactly how I built this program. And so the link is below. Early enrollment, get 12 months access for the price of 6 months, and come and build your coaching business with us. Okay, let's dive in. Let's jump into my birth story. I was originally going to have my husband on here to give his perspective of the birth story, because obviously I went into complete tunnel vision at certain points, but it's been a little challenging to get us both to be able to sit down with 2 kids and all the craziness to be able to record this. So I'm just going to be the one that records it today. So let me take you guys back a little bit into my pregnancy. I had prodromal labor starting at 36 weeks, and that basically means like false labor, but it's not Braxton Hicks. It's similar, but you have contractions and they can last for hours, and they can even be consistent, and they can be like 1 to 3 minutes apart and last for hours. The thing is, they just don't get stronger and they don't put you into labor. But it's really hard to know, is this labor or is this fake? And so from 36 weeks on, it was very, very stressful to know, like, am I in labor or is this fake? And I went through that for a few weeks where I would just start to ignore it, because I was like, okay, clearly this isn't labor, it's just prodromal labor. And if it gets worse and I can't walk and can't talk, then we'll have a different conversation. But until then, it's just this really annoying thing. And it honestly became mentally taxing. I did see a psychic who predicted that I was going to have a girl and that I was going to have a quick and easy and fast vaginal delivery, and that she was going to be born on April 10th or 11th. Now, while the psychic was completely right outside of the date, I planned for my baby to be born on April 10th or 11th, which in hindsight, looking back, is actually hilarious that I put so much trust into this woman that I didn't know to predict the birthday. But I planned my literally business and life around those dates. I had my mom come in on Easter Sunday, which was April 9th, to come stay with us because we thought we were going to be having a baby on the 10th or the 11th. And she was here to watch my oldest daughter while we were in the hospital. And so she ended up being at our house for weeks, which oh my gosh, just insane. So went through all the prodromal labor, and there was at one point, I think it was I was 39 weeks, where the contractions were getting stronger and they were becoming painful. And so we called the doula, and she came over, and that only lasted for a few hours, and then they phased out. And I was so frustrated because at this point I just wanted to have my baby. I was so incredibly uncomfortable, and I just was over it. Like I didn't want to be pregnant anymore. And I was like, I keep having these contractions. Nothing's happening. It was super frustrating. So she comes over and they phase out, and I'm frustrated. We try everything. We try walking, pumping, all the things to get it restarted. Not happening. My husband and I at this point had been doing everything. We'd done spinning babies every single day. We go on walks every single night. I was curb walking. I was drinking pineapple juice. I was trying all the remedies to get this baby to come. And I wanted a natural, easy delivery, right? As we all do. I didn't want to be induced. I did give birth at a hospital, which was my plan, but I didn't want to be induced because I was induced with my first daughter, and it was kind of traumatic. And I really wanted to go unmedicated for this labor, which is also why I hired a doula, which shout out to Taylor, is amazing. She's also one of my clients, and I'm so glad I hired her because she was the best, keeping me mentally sane through the entire experience and educated and helping me make decisions. And then being in the labor and delivery room was a game changer. So shout out to Taylor. She's amazing. If you're looking for a doula, or if you're pregnant or you're going through postpartum, you should definitely check her out. She has a podcast. She has a program that you can join, or if you're local to the area, you could even hire her for doula services. But let's get back to the story here. So, because I have so many thoughts because it felt so chaotic. But anyway, so 40 weeks come, and I'm still only dilated to, I think it was a 2, and 70% effaced. So at this point, it had been 3 weeks of no progress. And my doctor did not want me to go past 42 weeks. And so she had planned for me to be induced on, it was Wednesday, 40, I was 41, I would have been 41 weeks in one day. Yeah, so I was going to be induced on a Wednesday. And up until this point, once I hit that 40-week point, I was kind of getting discouraged. I was like, okay, I don't want to be induced, but this is where we're at. And I guess this is just where we're at. It's not happening. My body's just broken. I had all these negative thoughts because I was I had been induced before. And I was well, maybe my body just doesn't do that, right? So the morning before my induction, I was super emotional because I was this is the last day, and clearly she's not coming, and I'm being induced tomorrow, and this sucks, right? Because we know with being induced in Pitocin, you run the risk of intervention, epidural, all the things that I didn't want and had in my first pregnancy. And I was here we go again. So my husband and I had planned this day to go get groceries, go to lunch, go for a walk, just get the house ready, get the house clean, do all the things we needed to do, have clean sheets to bring home a new baby. And that morning I had talked to Taylor, my doula, and she was hey, why don't you just go to the chiropractor, see if they can get you in for a pelvic adjustment, because sometimes when baby's not in the correct position in your pelvis, this can actually create prodromal labor, and it would be it could make your labor and delivery so much longer tomorrow when you are induced. So see if you can get a pelvic alignment, and then that could definitely help you tomorrow have a much quicker process once they start the Pitocin. I was hesitant, but I was okay, this is literally my Hail Mary because I just don't want to be induced. So called my cousin, I told him the situation, and we went in that morning. It was 10 a.m. and they did a quick pelvic alignment. And honestly, I'm so mad at myself for not doing these sooner in my pregnancy, because I had the worst pelvic pain for months. Like, my pelvis would like pop and crack every time I rolled over in bed or like got up out of bed. I like couldn't walk. It was terrible. So after that, I had like no pelvic pain, and it was like magical and amazing, and I was just so mad at myself I didn't do it sooner. So we did that, and then we picked up our groceries and we went to lunch, the three of us, as like one last time before baby was here. And I started having like some cramping and contractions at lunch, but I didn't think anything of it because I was like, here we go again, prodromal labor, shocker. We go home and we're just hanging out, and my mom's still at our house. And so my mom, my daughter, my husband, and I are all sitting outside just soaking up the sunshine. It's like 3-4 o'clock, talking about dinner, where we're gonna go for dinner, my one last meal before baby comes. And I start to have these contractions that are painful and weird and different. And I was like, that's strange, and I don't like that because that really hurt. And I was like, well, you know how it goes. Like, it's the same thing. So I'm like, I'm just going to go lay on my bed for a couple minutes until we go to dinner, because this is kind of painful. So I go in and lay on my bed, and I'm like, okay, I feel this is going to be TMI. So if you're like, I'm not about this, because this is the part where we're going to like go into detail. So if you're like, not about this, if I were you, I'd just click out of this podcast right now. I felt like I had to poop. So I would just like go to the bathroom, and I couldn't, but it just constantly felt like this, and I had this pain. And I was like, okay, let me get in the shower, because I know with prodromal labor, sometimes you take a shower and you relax, it goes away, but these were painful. My husband comes into the bathroom, and I'm in the shower, and I'm like having pretty significant contractions, like can't talk through them, and I'm like, this is extremely painful and way different. And I was like, you should probably time these. He's like, you want me to play some music? I'm like, sure. He times them. I stay in the shower for like 20 to 30 minutes. They're like 1 to 3 minutes apart. And they're getting worse. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I hope this is not fake, because this is extremely painful. And if they're any worse than this, I might die. So get out of the shower, and I'm like, okay, I need to get dressed. Like, I think I might be in labor. My husband calls their doula, and she's like, okay, do you like want me to come to your house? You know, whatever. And I'm like, nope, we're going to the hospital now. So this was like from 4 to 5 p.m. I feel like I had progressed really fast. Mind you, we're also 30 minutes away from the hospital, and it's 5 o'clock traffic, and I'm panicking. So between getting out of the shower, getting dressed, and getting to the car, I had like 5 contractions, and they're all in my back. I was having the worst back labor ever, and I needed my husband to put pressure on my back. And so he obviously couldn't do that while we're driving to the hospital, and I was in so much pain. Like, I felt like I almost blacked out on that car ride, because I was trying to just get through contractions. I was trying to like wiggle my way through the seat because I was so uncomfortable. I couldn't get comfortable because sitting was so bad. And my husband's trying to drive as fast as he can through traffic to get to the hospital. And I'm like, just do whatever you have to do to get there, because I am dying. We get into the parking lot. He literally, before he gets into park, I'm already swinging the car door open to get out, because I just cannot sit a second longer. I'm in so much pain. And I have like telling him like, get over here right now. I need pressure on my back. And between the parking lot and the entrance of the hospital, I have 3 contractions. One, I kneel down in the parking lot of the hospital, and some lady is wheeling her husband out of the hospital in a wheelchair. They're probably in their 80s, and they're like, do you need this wheelchair? Do you need this wheelchair? And my husband was like, no, she doesn't want to sit. And I'm like just crouched down in the parking lot having a contraction. We get in the front door and having another one. They're like coming back to back to back with no space in between. And I'm like full on dying. They get me in a wheelchair so they can take me up to labor and delivery. And some lady at the same time she worked there was headed there. So she buzzed us in, because you have to have like a badge to get in. And they wheel me up to labor and delivery. And as soon as we get off the elevator, I am like crawling against the wall. Triage was full, but between the time they wheeled me, what they were going to take me into triage, by the time they wheeled me down the hall to what they were going to use for triage, they just decided to take me into a room, because I was having back to back contractions. I couldn't talk. I couldn't walk. I was in so much pain. So they get me into a room. I get undressed, I get in the bed, and I'm just having my husband put pressure on my back, because I'm like, this is like the craziest pain I've ever felt. We're waiting on Taylor to get there. I think she maybe got there like within 5 minutes of us getting into a room, which honestly, timestamp couldn't tell you. All I know is we got to the hospital at 6 p.m., but there's not a lot of timestamps because between this and the time she was born, I feel like I was completely tunnel visioned. So I get in there and they're like, okay, we need to check you, so you need to lay down. And at this point, I'm like turned around in the bed facing the back of the bed, like facing the wall, because again, I need counter pressure on my back. So I'm not like laying in the bed like typical, but they need me to in order to check me. And it was awful, but I was an 8. So 8 centimeters dilated by the time we got to the hospital. And they're like, do you want an epidural? My birth plan was to be completely unmedicated, but at this point I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like if this pain gets worse, I don't know. My water hasn't broken. I know that can make it worse and I'm dying. And so I don't say anything because I know I don't want it, but I'm like scared that I need it. And I just kind of ignore the question. And I'm continuing to labor in the bed. Taylor and my husband are both putting counter pressure on my back and my feet. And I finally am like, no, I need the epidural. Like, I need it. And they're like, okay, well, we have to get a bag of fluids in you before you can get it. And Taylor is trying to stall me and my husband are trying to stall me because they know I don't want it. And so Taylor's like, okay, let's get in the jet tub and, let the IV do its thing while you're in the tub, and that will help relieve some pain. And then we'll see if you want the epidural. And I'm like, okay, let's do it, because little did I know that by that point, they're not going to give me an epidural. They probably weren't going to anyway because I was so far progressed and I couldn't sit still. But in my delusional mind, I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So I'm continuing to labor. And as this is happening, so many nurses are coming in asking me 1,000 questions, asking me to sign paperwork, which I did pre-register. And I'm in no place to sign paperwork or answer any questions. My husband told me this later, but one of the nurses asked who our pediatrician was, and I don't know if I didn't hear her, I just was tuned out, but I had said it burns because I was talking to Taylor and my husband that like I was having some burning down there. So I was like, is she coming out? I don't know, but it burns. And the nurse was like, burns? Like as in our pediatrician being Burns. And they noted that my daughter's pediatrician is named Dr. Burns. Not my daughter's pediatrician at all. She wrote that on the little card that they put in where the baby like lays in the crib. So the card says, we saved it, says Dr. Burns. And yeah, that was hilarious. And why they do that just blows my mind when you're in that far of active labor, but whatever. So I'm not sure what happened, like with paperwork, if I ended up signing it later or my husband signed for me or whatever, because to tell you the truth, I just didn't care. I probably would have like given them my banking account number, routing number, like take it all. I don't care in this moment because I was in so much pain. Finally, they get me hooked up to the wireless monitor so that I can get into the tub because they wanted to do the monitoring, the little stickies they put on you to monitor the baby. And I get into the tub and oh my God, I know why people have why they have water births, because it was amazing. Like it helped relieve so much pain. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was still in a ton of pain and I think I could have like broke my husband or Taylor's hand squeezing so hard, but the pain compared to not being in the tub was much different. Like I honestly think it saved me. And so I was in there for a little bit and I kept feeling like my body was naturally pushing the baby, and I had said it out loud to my husband and the doula and didn't realize that the resident OB was standing in the bathroom door, and she was like, no pushing in the tub because they don't let you do that in the hospital. And so they wanted me to get out. So they checked me and I was a 10 and they're like, okay, well, at this point we can just break your water and you can start pushing. And I panicked. I was so scared because I was like, oh my God, it's going to get worse when I break my water. And through pushing, like, I don't know if I can do this unmedicated. Like I need the epidural. So they get me out of the tub and back into the bed, and I'm like, just like, give me the epidural. And they're like, we can't, like, it is too late. There's no way we're doing it. Like, we've got to just get this show on the road. So I'm like, okay, let's just break my water and get it over with because this pain is unreal. And I knew this was the only way out. And so I roll over, she breaks my water, and it's time to push. And I think I pushed for like, I don't know, I want to say like maybe 10 to 15 minutes maximum. It wasn't very long that I pushed and she was out. But I did yell in the room, she's going to rip my butthole because of the so much pain and pressure down there from not being medicated. It was unreal. So she was born at 9:11 p.m. So we got there at 6 p.m. She was born at 9:11 p.m. And yeah, she was 8 pounds. And I still to this day cannot believe I gave birth unmedicated. And I am so incredibly grateful for my doula, for my husband, because if it wasn't for them and it wasn't for them stalling me, I would have 100% gotten that epidural because I was in so much pain. But luckily, they kept me from getting it, and it was a really good experience. The nurses afterwards were like, I cannot believe how calm and collected you were through all of that. And I felt like I was not calm and collected at all because I felt like I was dying. But that is my birth story. And then since then, things have been great. We were in the hospital for, 24 hours, I think. And we went home 24 hours after she was born, and we went home, which wasn't too bad. Since we've both been super healthy, which has been a blessing. I'm feeling much better, especially with chiropractic care, because at the beginning I felt like I'd broken my tailbone and my back, and that back labor is just so incredibly intense. But I've been feeling so much better, and I am about to be cleared completely for Pilates because I did tear, so I had to get stitches. But yeah, that is my birth story. Very wild story. So she was born at 9:11 p.m. and we were set to be induced that next morning and be there at 6 a.m. So we were with less than 12 hours away from our induction, and she was born. And I honestly give it like all the credit to that pelvic alignment, because I genuinely think that was what did it. And I kind of wonder what would have happened had I done the chiropractic care sooner, and we'll never know. But that's my birth story, friends. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being here and part of my community. If you are interested in becoming a coach, building your coaching program, creating a business that doesn't require social media, join Coach Energy School. The link will be below. Join early so that you can get 12 months access for the price of 6 months. And if you're interested in building a breadwinner business that allows you more time and more space with your kids, with your family, while making more money, get on the waitlist for Academy so you get all the updates of what is to come and when the doors are going to reopen this fall. And come over to Instagram, connect with me, tell me that you listened to this podcast episode. My handle is _TayDaniels_LLC. That'll also be linked below, and I will see you guys on the next episode.